I've told my child how to clean their room 1,000 times. Why take the time to break this down into step by step pieces?
You shouldn't unless your child doesn't clean up their room when you ask or does it wrong. A lot of kids know how to do each of the steps to clean up their room or to do their homework, but they can't get it done all at once. They get overwhelmed thinking about all those steps. And so they don't get started, or sometimes they don't even know how to get started.
That doesn't make any sense. Either they know or they don't know. If they know and they don't do it, that's because they don't want to.
Well, it's true. I mean, all of us have times when we don't do things because we don't want to. But for kids with executive function problems, they have an extra issue, which is that they get overloaded or overwhelmed by tasks that have several different steps to them. And when they get overwhelmed, they have trouble showing what they know, and they can even get upset and, act out or talk back. So that's an experience that we want to try to avoid. And we've all had that experience. Maybe you're really late to an appointment, and at that moment, it's pretty hard for you to follow directions somebody gives you or to listen carefully. When kids get overloaded, then often us parents get overloaded too, and the whole thing can kind of spiral downward. So, what's important to know is that you do have a powerful tool to prevent that overload or that overwhelm. And that is you can break a complicated task down into steps, and you can even write those steps down. So, in my case, my son has executive functioning problems, and he's a smart kid and he does well at school, but he'll struggle with something like cleaning up his room. And for a long time, I would just get frustrated and say, I know you're smart enough to do this. Why aren't you doing a better job? You just don't care, that kind of thing. But at a certain point, I stopped and thought, well, wait a minute, let me follow the advice I give to other parents and let me see if I can break this task down. So I broke the task down into steps and wrote them down. Like step one, you're going to pick up the clothes in your room. Step two, you're going to pick up the books, that kind of thing. And when I do that, he's actually much more likely to do that job correctly the first time and much more likely to be successful overall.
Is it spoon feed my child just keep her from becoming more responsible?
Well, yes, if she can feed herself, you don't want to spoon feed her. But if your child is struggling with a big task, sometimes or even most of the time, then it can be helpful for you to stop banging your own head against the wall and do an experiment. Break that task down into small steps and then see if your child does it better. You can do this visually by writing it down or making pictures of the steps. And then if your child's able to do the first step, you get to praise them. And that gives them confidence and they feel more independent. And then they may go on and do the next step. And then again, you can praise them. And in that way, you're teaching them that they can break big tasks down into smaller ones. And now they have a new skill that they can use to tackle all kinds of big problems.
If I do this, will she never learn to do this on her own and need my help forever?
It's important to remember that kids and grown-ups, we all learn new skills best when they're a little bit hard, but not too hard or overwhelming. So breaking things down can help you find that sweet spot where your child can build new skills one step at a time. And lots of us use written checklists and reminders on our phones to make sure that we get important stuff done. So it's a skill that a lot of adults use, and it frees us up to think about what's important in our day. Breaking things down is a tool that you can use to have more fun times and less conflict at home. And it can help your child build a skill for being more independent that they'll use all their life.